Hey everyone, it's been a while. How's it going? Hey everyone, my name is Melly and thank you for clicking on this video. As some of you have noticed, it has been a while since I made a video, about almost 2 weeks now. And honestly, that's because I've been kind of bummed. I've been kind of bummed lately. This whole Sabres COVID situation has really been sad and frustrating and irritating and bleh. And I've wanted to talk about it, but I just I didn't want to make a video that was totally reactionary, right? I didn't want to get really angry and scream at a camera. I wanted to wait for the facts to come out first and kind of make my opinions based on the facts. And I don't know, I'm still kind of irritated. I like to think of myself as a pretty laid back, calm person, right? I don't like to get too angry and yelly and all that stuff. The most mad I've ever gotten at the Buffalo Sabres resulted in me writing a Taylor Swift song about it, right? I don't take myself too seriously, but this whole situation with the Sabres and the New Jersey Devils and the NHL and all the COVID stuff, it's really frustrating, and so I wanted to talk about it. So I thought I'd make this video to kind of share my thoughts and kind of see what you guys have to think about it and talk about it a little bit. And also too, I'm kind of switching some things up on my channel a little bit. And I wanted to talk about that too, but that's for the end of the video, so stay tuned. So if you're unfamiliar with the situation, basically the Buffalo Sabres were going up against the New Jersey Devils. The Devils came into Buffalo for a back-to-back weekend matinee series, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. They split the series. The Sabres took the first game in a shootout and then lost the second game to a very, very shorthanded group of New Jersey Devils, which is something I could go off about, but I'm not gonna. But it drives me nuts because those games should not have been played. They should not have been played. So before the first game, before the Saturday game, Travis Zajac of the New Jersey Devils went on the COVID protocol list. And I feel like the obvious thing to do there would have been to immediately postpone those games. Those games should not have happened at all. And I mean, that's a little sketchy, right? If someone's going on the COVID protocol list, right before a game, a day or whatever before a game that you're supposed to play, I mean, you're practicing with these guys, you're around these guys, you're traveling with these guys because it was in Buffalo. Wouldn't those all be close contacts? Wouldn't the entire New Jersey Devils team be close contacts? So it was sketchy. It was it was just weird that they let that game go on, really no questions asked. They were just yeah, okay, have fun, go play. So that was annoying and irritating, but whatever, the game goes on. I don't think anyone was really thinking too much of it. But then before the Sunday game, right before the Sunday game, Kyle Palmieri of the Devils goes on the COVID protocol list. That should have been it! Kyle Palmieri played in the first game. He was around his whole team, on the bench, in the locker room, on the ice. If he's on the COVID protocol list for some reason, that would lead me to believe that there should be a lot more Devils on the COVID protocol list. I mean, they're all there. They're all around each other. Not to mention, they just played an entire game against the Buffalo Sabres. That should have been it. That should have been the end. The game should have immediately been postponed, and it wasn't. I mean, after already playing a game, the damage might have already been done at that point, but, you don't want to further this, and look what happened. But it wasn't it. The Sabres ended up playing the Devils. They played terribly and they lost. That's not even what I'm mad about. If they would have won by 10, I would have said the game shouldn't have never been played. So in the days following, a ton more Devils get added to the COVID protocol list. So then, of course, a ton of Sabres get added to the COVID protocol list. And so then details come out about, how people are feeling about the situation. This is where things kind of get a little sketchy. So Bob McKenzie of TSN reported that with Kyle Palmieri being added to the COVID protocol list, that was what made the Sabres players express concerns to the NHLPA. But both Bill Daly and Sabres general manager Kevin Adams said that they were completely unaware of any concerns by anybody on the Sabres, by any player, anybody. Which is a little weird, don't you think? Does that, what? What am I more likely to believe? That Bill Daly and Kevin Adams aren't being totally truthful, or that the Sabres expressed concerns to the NHLPA, or that the Sabres expressed concerns to the NHLPA, and the NHLPA was just okay, thanks for telling me, and then did nothing after that. What is the truth? I can't believe that game ended up being played. So in the end, after all of that, 9 Sabres ended up on the COVID protocol list. You had Rasmus Dahlin, Rasmus Ristolainen, Taylor Hall, Tobias Reeder, Brandon Montour, Curtis Lazar, Casey Middlestat, Dylan Cousins, and Jake McCabe. All of them ended up on the COVID protocol list, along with Sabres coach Ralph Kruger, who is 61. I mean, So a ton of Sabres games ended up being postponed, and now we're kind of in a situation, now we have 5 more back-to-backs than we did before this all happened. And, like, who knows, like, more games are being postponed, so that could end up being more. But we're in a situation where our schedule is way harder than it was. For what? It wasn't our fault, you know? So obviously no one's coming out really saying too much about it. Like, you know, John Vogel of The Athletic reported that the Sabres were furious after this happened, but then you get people talking and they're like, oh, you know, it's fine, you know, it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve. What I found interesting too is Kevin Adams, he had a press conference talking about the whole thing, and he said that before the Saturday game when Zajac went on the protocol list, he was having conversations with Bill Daly. He asked some questions, and, you know, his questions, I guess, were answered, and they felt good about playing in the game, which to me is just crazy. Like, everyone is kind of talking like, you know, this is totally fine, we're going to get through it. It's really not fine, though. Like, I don't know what the NHL strategy was going into this, where they thought it was okay that, you know, you could have a guy who was around his whole team, you know, was in close contact with his team, but like, oh, hey, maybe, like, just because he's on the COVID protocol list, maybe, like, everyone around him is fine. Like, maybe this is all fine. You know, I just think it was very, very irresponsible by the league to let this happen, honestly, because, you know, now look at how screwed the Sabres are as a result of this. Like, the Sabres made a point that they were going to follow every single protocol that they could, that they were going to do all the right things, be as safe as possible, so they could, you know, hopefully this wouldn't happen. They wouldn't be the cause of this. And they were doing I thought they were doing a great job with it. And then the Devils come in and, like, look at what's going on with the Sabres now. You have their 61-year-old coach who is symptomatic, like he's having COVID symptoms, and from what we're hearing, I mean, I'm sure he's going to be fine, but you don't want to take that risk. Like, why would you take that risk, you know? And now there are 9 Sabres on the COVID protocol list, and they're saying that some of them are asymptomatic, but some of them do have symptoms. Like, could you imagine? Seriously, like, could you imagine? Like, again, I'm sure they're all going to be fine. I'm sure they're going to recover. But, like, look at Marco Rossi, like, the draft pick of the Minnesota Wild. Like, he's not going to play at all this season because he's having complications from COVID. You know what I mean? So it's just frustrating. Like, why would you take these chances? You know, I mean, yeah, it's a really condensed schedule. Yeah, it's going to be tough to fit all this in. It was never going to be perfect. But I don't understand taking unnecessary risks like this. And knowing that you had someone who was in COVID protocol around everybody on his own team to say, oh yeah, no, it'll be fine. Everything will be fine. Go play. Go have fun. Like that just makes absolutely no sense to me. And, like, if it makes sense to you guys, please let me know, because I'm baffled by this decision. So I really hope that the Sabres who are affected by this are okay. But, like, I couldn't even imagine having to go play a ton of hockey, you know, if I was having, like, breathing-related COVID symptoms. Like, let me tell you, hockey is an absolute bitch to play when you feel like you can't breathe right. Like, oh my God. So now, not only are we going to be without, you know, some pretty decent players, you know, Dahlin, Taylor Hall, Rasmus Ristolainen has been really good this year for us. You know, who knows how long they'll be out for. Hopefully they'll be able to get back soon. Not only that, now our already condensed schedule is getting even more condensed. Like, we have more back-to-back situations than we had before this. So you know what that means? Way more Carter Hutton than we were hoping for. So, like, why don't you just, like, put us in last place now? Like, ugh! Like, it just seems like our season just took such an unnecessary hit. And I'm not saying we were ever going to make the playoffs, but we looked better than we have in years past. So now while everyone's getting all these games in, you know, they're kind of really getting their feet under them, we're off for 2 weeks again. We were off for 10 months, now we're off for 2 weeks again. I mean, this is crazy. And you know what's driving me the most crazy is that, like, Bill Daly said that there's really no evidence of, like, cross-team transmission of COVID. And it's like, one, get some definitive evidence. 2, like, I'm no scientist or anything, but I did do a quick little Google search about a month ago because my beer league's starting up, and I just wanted to make sure that I'm safe and that I'm as careful as I can with everything going on. So I did a quick little Google search about COVID and ice hockey, and I found this article from the Washington Post, and it was saying that ice hockey, more than really any other youth sport out there, has really been spreading the virus around at a higher rate than, you know, some of the other sports, like obviously the outdoor sports. And they're saying, experts think that, you know, with the air temperature and the humidity, that the way ice rinks are, it kind of traps the virus, I guess, around the head area or something. I don't know. I'm no scientist. But it makes sense, too, because ice hockey shifts are short. They're quick bursts, quick sprints. So that would make sense. There's a lot more really heavy breathing. Players are close together on the bench, you know, on the ice, chasing a little puck around. So it all makes sense, right? So while they're saying that there's no definitive evidence, like, I think you can get a pretty good idea, right? And that's from a 2-second Google search. So for Bill Daly to be saying, like, there's no definitive evidence of cross-team transmission, like, well, what? So, okay, so it's just coincidence that the Devils came in with this massive COVID outbreak, played the Sabres, who were doing everything right now. The Sabres have a massive COVID outbreak. Like, that's just a massive coincidence, or what? Like, what am I missing? Like, honestly, it's just really, it's frustrating. It's disappointing, right? Because, the NHL had the NFL to look at as a model. They had the MLB to look at as a model, and obviously those are two different sports, but, you know, the NFL, there's way more players on NFL teams. There's way more staff on NFL teams. So, yeah, they're different sports. It's outdoors sometimes. Like, I'd say it's shocking that the NHL found a way to screw it up this bad, but, like, it's really not. It's really not. Like, when that whole situation happened with Columbus and Carolina, where there was, like, an offsides, but the play was offside, but they counted the goal anyway, but then they realized they made a mistake, so after the intermission, they took away, like, half of a delay of game penalty. Like, I heard that story, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like the NHL. That sounds pretty on brand. Like, yeah. Ugh! So, I don't know, like, the Sabres are only 10 games into the season, and it's like, I waited so long for this. I waited 10 months to be able to watch the Sabres play again, for now them to be off for, you know, who even knows how long. And I've been bummed about it, but, like, hopefully they can take this and learn from it. Hopefully, you know, there are going to be way fewer mistakes going forward. I don't know. Gotta tell you, though, if there's one positive out of this, Jack Eichel, of all people, right? Like, Jack Eichel, I love the guy. He's never been famous for being, like, a very cheery, positive, optimistic guy, right? He came out and he was interviewed. He came out and he said that he was, like, excited for the possibility of more back-to-back games and for a more condensed schedule than they originally had. Like, he was excited. He's like, yeah, more games than merrier. This will be great. And he's like, yeah, I've been watching film, and I've been, like, looking at some stuff where, you know, when I was going really good last year, I'm comparing it to, you know, my slow start a little bit this year. So I think when I come back, I'm kind of going to, you know, come out a lot better. And it's like, who's this guy? The Ralph Kruger effect, apparently. No, he came out all positive, so, I mean, that's making me happy anyway. I would love to see Jack come out of this and just tear things up. Hopefully the whole team will be, too, you know? But obviously it's frustrating. I think the Sabres ended up getting unnecessarily screwed, but nothing you can do about it now. But again, let me know your thoughts on this whole situation. I know there's been some other kind of COVID outbreaks, so if that's affecting your team, you know, you can talk about that too. I'd love to hear about it. And two, again, like I said in the beginning of the video, I am going to be making a few kind of changes on my channel. I don't think I'm going to be reacting to every game in the way I have in the past. It's a lot of work for me, and, you know, with my job and everything, it's really kind of tough to find the time to be able to do all of that. I'm considering live streaming. I know next week I will be live streaming with, I'm having a few friends coming over, a couple of my beer league buddies. We're going to be live streaming. Our plan is to live stream during a Sabres game and talk about that. Of course, speaking of my beer league buddies, the reason we're doing this is because my beer league is starting up again. We have our first game coming up pretty soon. So that's back. So you're going to get my mic'd up games. And a lot of people have been asking me about my Be a Pro Mode series and why I stopped doing that. Funny story. So the reason I stopped doing that was because I actually broke my controller, and I have been way too lazy to go get a new one. So I did get a new controller, so if you want me to start up my Be a Pro Mode series again, I can totally do that. And honestly, too, I really want to get back into doing music on my channel. So I think that's kind of going to be like a weekend thing for me once, now that football season's officially over with the Super Bowl being over. I think I kind of want to start getting back into the swing of putting music up on my channel and doing some covers or some original songs, stuff like that. So that might be coming up, but like I said, the every single reaction might be a little bit tough. I'll try to do my best. I'll try to find something that works for me. But yeah, just so y'all know and you're all prepared for that. So anyways, thank you for listening to me vent. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know again what you think. And I will see you very soon. Go Bills, go Sabres. Bye, guys.